You the warmest greetings in these brief moments. It's such a special privilege and honor that we have tonight with us the Honorable Chief Minister, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, and I stopped a moment to tell her how gracious it was of her when she came in, not only to acknowledge all of us, but to look at Amit and Reet on the second row, look at the little baby, and just say hello. That humane touch, ma'am, creates a greater impact than many things we can say. Thank you tonight. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the honorable dignitaries, Dr. Toksham Mainia and also Sri Mangatram Singalji. It's an honor to be addressing you all briefly. I was given 15 minutes and I thought that would be addressing the purpose of life and that would be a challenge in itself. And tonight I was told 5 minutes. I'm going to try and really sort of work through this as quickly as I can. It's like trying to put the Indian Ocean into a bucket, but you realize you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that because to appreciate the Indian Ocean, you need to sail into it, watch the challenge of the waves, experience the winds, go down to the depths and enjoy its beauty. The story is told of a little boy who was facing his mathematics exam, and even as it was about Christmas time, he looked at that sheet of paper. He knew no answer to any question. So he pondered for a moment and said, what sort of a reply shall I make to the teacher? He wrote these words to her. He said, "Dear teacher, God knows everything. I know nothing. Merry Christmas." And he submitted the paper into the teacher's hand. When he came back in the New Year season, he was waiting for the answer script with the teacher's words, and appropriately she'd written below his words, "Dear student, God gets 100%, you get 0, Happy New Year." It's not difficult for us as we look at life's ups and downs, its gifts and griefs, its loves and hates, its magic and its mysteries, to really feel like that little boy was so confounded by both the profundity of life and sometimes the perplexities that we face. India has its fascinating paradoxes, isn't it? Somebody said it's an absolutely fantastic country where the pizza delivery man will come quicker and reach your home than the ambulance can. It's kind of a fascinating world. Some days ago I was flying out of Bangalore airport, looked at the headlines in the newspaper. On that same page it said petrol prices were falling, and on the other side it says rail prices are going up. So I went to Twitter and tweeted quickly. I said petrol prices dropping, rail prices hiking, today's news is striking, India is shining, grammar is lacking as I am tweeting. One of my friends called me back from the US and said, "Arun, I'm not worried about your tweeting, I'm terribly worried about your grammar." As you think about life and these questions, let me quickly bring you 2 statements from people I met. Many years ago, standing with an Indian businessman, his 4 Mercedes-Benz cars parked in his lot, several other imported cars. He was battling a custody rights issue for his son in the court. His wife and he had just had a heart-wrenching divorce. Holding my hand, looking into my eyes, he said this to me, "Arun, all this means nothing to me. The properties, the cars mean nothing to me. I wonder if there really is a purpose and meaning to life." Switch the picture, another year story, a young woman, 8 years in a courtship. She loves this man, he loves her, but in just one line after 8 years, he says to her, "It's all over now." Let me quote for you words that beautifully bring the complexities of our time in a song that came several years across the airwaves, quoted by my team leader Ravi K. Thyagaraj in his book Can Man Live Without God? From the canyons of the mind, we wander on and stumble blind, wade through the often tangled maze of starless nights and sunless days, hoping for some kind of clue, a road to lead us to the truth, but who will answer? Is our hope in walnut shells worn round the neck with temple bells, or deep within some cloistered walls where hooded figures pray in shawls, or high upon some dusty shelves, or in the stars, or in ourselves? Who will answer? If the soul is darkened by a fear it cannot name, if the mind is baffled when the rules don't fit the game, then who will answer? Who will answer? Who will answer? The story of the businessman and that young woman Rashmi are both stories that bring to us the fact that when you look at the purpose of life, life's experiences can sometimes re-angle them for us. You can look at life through the different stages of life. Ask somebody who's a young person and say, what's the purpose of life? They'll say, pursuing an education. Ask a newlywed young man, what's the purpose of life? He'll say, it's to really look after my spouse and family. Of course, that keeps changing. Two fellows were talking about their wives. One said to the other, you know, my wife's an angel. The other fellow said, you're so fortunate, mine is still living, brother. As you look at marriage and life like that, it keeps changing. Ask the young graduate, what is the pursuit of life? And you say it's to find vocation. Ask the honorable politician, the bureaucrat, the social worker, the healthcare professional, the educationist, and they'll say we want to transform society. That's the purpose of life. But tonight, stop at a hospital. Stop at a prison. Go to the one on death row and ask, what is the purpose of life? And you'll find a different answer coming. The stages of life can define your perspective. Your worldview can define your perspective. Speak to Gautama the Buddha, and he will speak to you about the purpose of life in the separation of desire or overcoming desire. Speak to the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhiji, and he will speak to you about embracing non-violence as the path to the purpose of life. Speak to Karl Marx, he'll talk about reducing the gap between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. I can go on, but tonight I must conclude by bringing to you some important thoughts in our pursuits. There can be 4 critical questions we all face. Number 1 is the question of origin. Where did I come from? Number 2, the question of meaning. What is this life about? Number 3, the question of morality. What standard do I live by? And number 4 is the question of destiny. Where am I headed? Within these 4 questions, every worldview has to reconcile itself to proper answers. There are several pursuits, but I want to close by highlighting the following. Number 1 is the pursuit of popularity. John Lennon was the leader of the Beatles, a man who was iconic to the young. His music appealed to several thousands, if not millions. And even as John Lennon was going through his days, his biographers tell us that at the hilt of his popularity, he was an insecure man. He never slept in the night without his room lights on before he was shot dead by a berserk fan. Popularity can elude us in terms of our search for purpose. The second thing is this, the pursuit of power. He was one of the strongest politicians and leaders of his time. He held control of the biggest nation, one of the biggest in the world, the USSR. And yet as every limousine drove past, no one knew which one contained him. He was a man who had 7 bedrooms, safer than a safe could be. Not even his close aides knew which one he'd sleep in. He was paranoid of being poisoned. He had a man in charge of his tea bags. The heights of power and the pursuit of it need not bring you the meaning of life. That man was Joseph Stalin. The pursuit of that which is possession, Howard Hughes, multi-millionaire, castles, manors, limousines. He had it all, but he was afraid to shake hands with new people for the fear of germs that might come into his life, and finally died alone in his castle as a hermit. You're a young person, and that's why tonight my focus is particularly on you. You could be engaged in the pursuit of pleasure. In the city of Bangalore that I live in, I was driving down the road. When I saw the sticker on a car, it said, I believe in the 2-party system. The moment you hear anything about parties, you think about Indian politics, and I was thinking of all the parties. But as I came closer, there was a fine print which said, party all day, party all night. And that's the way some of us live our lives. In cities like the one that I live in, we're not sure whether it's hot to be cool or it's cool to be hot. Filled with the shopping, so people out there are prices are dropping, but they don't, because they won't. Hey, you're raking it, making it, even trying faking it. Some of them stories from the good old times, but the kids think that the nursery rhymes, hey, hey. You're out to the penitent, checking out the colors, living in a rave band, flashing out his colors. Driving in your SUV, wishing that the people see who you are. What's your car? Hey, you're out in the discotheque, down in the dhaba. Are you just trying to have some fun, Baba? You're out in the traffic with FM91. You want to do something that'll make you someone. You got your cosmetic. You got your mathematic. You think you are, well, the very magnetic. Hey, hey. You're out in the hot spot wearing psychedelic. You got your page 3 look. Click, click. Breaking all the rules now. You're catching all the grooves now. You're making all the fools now. Hot mail, shock mail, check out if you got mail. If you never got mail, check out on the female, Left in the discotheque, down in the dava. Why don't you just have some fun, Baba? Baby. Maybe. 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 Thank you. I must close tonight. I could go on. There are several pursuits. The pursuit of popularity, power, possessions, pleasure. But through all of it you realize that the old story brings it well. A man on a street side is trying to restart his car. It's a T-Ford, it's not starting. And moments after he's struggling with the bonnet open, a well-dressed man parks his car behind and comes up to this man and says, "Can I help you, sir?" Putting his hand into the engine roll, just a few things he touches and says, "Can you restart now?" And the moment the key is put into the ignition and turned around, the car starts up. And just as the man who was the owner of the car, so delighted for this well-dressed man, he says, "Thank you so much, sir. I don't know how to thank you." The well-dressed man just put his visiting card into the man's hand and walked away to his car and drove off. And as he drove, the owner of the car looked at that card. It said, Henry Ford. The purpose of life really happens only when you come back to the one that made you. When you experience his compassion, you become a channel of it. When you're transformed, you become a transforming agent. When you receive his love, that love changes our times, society, and people. May God bless all of us, and we would be such agents of change. And tonight as your music comes, I'm glad they said the competition starts after I speak, because if I was part of the competition, I would stand no chance with the singing part. It's a delight to be here. God bless you, and take care. As we reflect about tonight, it's been a beautiful night of music, and in our pursuit for the meaning of life, maybe some of us have pursued that which was popularity, that which is possession, that which is power, and that which is pleasure. But in your heart tonight you're saying, who will answer? For the question of origin, God created you. For the question of meaning, Jesus says, I have come to give you life and give it abundantly. For the question of morality, he says, I am the truth. And for the question of destiny, he says, whoever believes in me shall never die. As you hear the first verse and chorus of this beautiful song sung again, would you from your heart say to him, Lord, I surrender all tonight. Some will come with our questions, some will come with our pain, some will come with our longing, but we say, I surrender all. Take those lives that surrender to you and bless them, that they might find true life in you. For we commit ourselves tonight into your gracious, loving hands, in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Brother Andrews.